How should feminist topics be handled in comic books? Is there a right way? Is there a wrong way? There's a lot of attention on the subject right now, and there's a big kind of outcry to take on more of those topics. So, what does that all mean? Let's get into that. Hey, everybody, this is Perch, talking about feminist topics in comics. And I think my response to this may surprise some people. I'll probably surprise everybody and piss everybody off like usual. But I think that you know, in terms of bringing feminist topics in comics, I tend to think that comics are the perfect medium for what I would call classic feminist topics. I think they're an ideal spot for them, and here's why. In comic books, especially cape comic books, I guess I'm going to focus there, but I mean, you can have all kinds of different comics. But the comic is going to be a journey of a character or characters that's taking text and images and merging them together and kind of writing a blueprint for a story or an adventure. And in a lot of cases, at least with superhero comics, you've got powers or situations kind of bigger than life. Whatever the current situation is, when the character can start flying around and shooting laser beams out of their eyes and other kinds of things, it's a leveling where they can be bigger than life. They don't have to deal with the mundane. They don't have to kind of live in the current system or the current society. They can do more. They can transcend. And so, therefore, I think comic books are ideal vehicles for feminist topics of, what does it mean to have equality, or what does it mean to have larger than life characters, or all that kind of stuff. I mean, it fits. It fits the medium really well. So, I mean, go forth and go at it. Go to it. I think the challenge with feminist topics in comics is that, let's see if I can land this explanation well. I don't know how I'm going to do it. It's complex. Everything I just said, where comic books allow for larger than life situations to occur, people with powers, people able to do bigger things. And even if it's not a superhero comic, even if it's, a drama comic, you're still doing things that you can't do in real life. Namely, you have a character there that you're able to follow, from a bird's eye view, maybe see into their thoughts, maybe live their experience. Just like a book, but with comics, you get the visuals and you get the text. So you get more than what you can get in real life. Comics, whether they're superhero books or not, give you more than what you have in real life, more insight into the character, more closeness, more attachment to those situations. And therefore, it gives you more responsibility to actually take advantage of those things. And the challenge that I see with a lot of how feminist topics roll out in comics is they don't take advantage of those storytelling tools. They don't, show what would happen to kind of empowerment or giving girls a blueprint for that they can do more, be more. They don't have to live under a glass ceiling. They can literally, if they've got superpowers, smash through it. But instead, they take kind of feminist or feminism talking points and they insert it into the mouths of characters, but they don't show those actions. They tell, they don't show. I fear that by the way, if you're listening to this and you're predisposed, you're like, oh, this is one of those angry dude comic YouTube guys and he hates women. No, I absolutely don't. Please try and kind of listen and digest, or at least consider what I'm saying. And if you're on the other end where you're like, any female topics equal bad, then also please try and listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying that comics gives us the means and the medium to do more with the characters, to show more, to live out fantasies, to play ideas out to their conclusion that we can't do in real life. And therefore, inflaming topics, ideas that are big, like some of the feminist ideas, like any kind of human empowerment ideas, are excellent. They fit comics well. But you have to then actually live out the ideas in the comic. You can't just have the characters walk around saying, quotes from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. That's not That's not doing. That's just saying things. It's just putting words into somebody's mouth. It's not actually showing. And I think it's why, from my perspective at least, if you look at the 70s, the 80s, and you look at characters like Wonder Woman or characters like Captain Marvel, the Carol version, um, or you even look at Tigra. I mean, Tigra was designed to be a feminist icon, a a woman unbound by the shackles of male society. A lot of female characters were in comics, and these women would, and certainly they were written well in some cases and written terrible in some cases. I mean, if you look at Carol and you look at the Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel character, and you look at how Chris Claremont wrote her, and frankly wrote a lot of women. I mean, Chris Claremont wrote strong, independent, empowered women, whether it was Storm defeating white dude Cyclops for leadership of the X-Men, or Kitty Pryde standing up to bullies, or or Rogue kind of going through her self-identity and actualization, or Rachel Summers, or Jean Grey at times, or Dazzler, or I mean, you can go on and on and on. And then, but if you look at Carol as written in the Avengers when she like gave birth to her boyfriend, that's a storyline. That's not me making something up. I mean, you had goods and bads, but a lot of the characters written in the 80s were definite female empowerment stories, and they were good. I mean, the Storm Cyclops battle that ends with Storm depowered beating powered Cyclops, in part because he was arrogant, in part because his heart wasn't in it. Both things are true. It's those were moments of empowerment for women, and they were good feminist, quote unquote feminist topics. Feminism means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and we can all define it in a million different ways. But those were good moments. And then if you fast forward to today, it seems like the feminist topics have a much harder time getting off the ground. The Captain Marvel title struggles. The Carol written today struggles, where it seemed to come a lot easier back, 20, 30 years ago. Arguably when feminism was a bigger deal. Well, it depends on who you talk to. I mean, feminism was either a bigger deal back in the 70s, 80s when the women's rights movements and everything were coming out, or they're a bigger deal today because of Trump. One of those two. At any rate, I'm just saying I think that comics can serve a lot of great good where female empowerment, feminist issues are. And I think I'm cool with more of those happening. I'm cool with that topic being raised in comics. I think that's, why not? I think it's great. I legitimately, I think it's great. And I say that from the standpoint of, if you go back and you read that Storm Cyclops issue, if you read a lot of the comics of the Avengers, where you have the Wasp, or you have She-Hulk, or you have Tigra, or you have Mockingbird, or you have a lot of those characters, Scarlet Witch, and you read kind of how these strong female characters were standing toe to toe with, white dude Thor or Captain America. That was cool. I mean, I think they were written great, and they're memorable, and they're timeless, and they're the basis of movies today. And yet, conversely, today you have kind of quote unquote, feminist focus. You have, for example, Marvel does this Fearless book where you have a all female creator anthology writing all female characters. And again, nothing wrong with that. I mean, great, but you have a hard time picturing those comics being amazing 30 years from now, like that Storm Cyclops issue is still. I mean, you could pick that issue up today, the Storm Cyclops issue, and you get a couple messages. You get a strong, this is strong female character message. You get the power of Storm. You get a dramatic story of passing the torch. You get a lot of pretty amazing things out of that comic. 30 years later, still awesome. Conversely, you pick up Fearless and you read some of those stories, and granted, it's an anthology series, but still, do you think those stories of female superheroes helping out at the camp against some kind of alien stuff is 30 years from now, that comic won't be remembered. And maybe it's unfair to compare Chris Claremont, a writer of decades worth of material and really knew his characters and had a chance to build them up and have that backstory, and he was playing with a lot of cards versus somebody coming in fresh and new to a story. Yeah, it's not apples to apples. I acknowledge that, but still, I think that the message is we can look to the past for some pretty amazing female empowerment, quote unquote, feminist stories. We can look to the past for some great ones, and ones that, I mean, I as a man enjoy quite a bit and have no issues showing to my daughters. Will show them to my daughters, and and think this is something cool for women. I think that those stories can live again. I want them to live again, and I hope we can see those come out, because I think there's some really great stuff there that tends to get forgotten and ignored in the rush to let's talk about, let's reignite the movement today. It's like, yeah, it sounds fine, but you actually did a really good job with that movement, say 30 years from now, and maybe you should learn some lessons from 30 years, I'm sorry, 30 years ago. Getting all tongue tied. Anyway, I'm curious to hear what you think. Leave some comments below, please. Though, I mean, try to really. I mean, hopefully my point makes sense. Put in the comments below. You make no goddamn sense. That's okay. Or just try and go off that. Please don't go in with the I hate Zoe Quinn because I don't care. Not in the context of this video. I'm just, I understand there are bad actors on all sides. Sure, why not? But my point here is, I think comics can do an amazing job of telling strong female empowerment stories. And I think actually of all the mediums, comics may be one of the best to do that in. But I don't think it's being done well today. I guess that's my premise. Can be done well, should be done well. Comics are great to do it in, but we got to start doing a better job than historically we have been. Fair? I don't know. You tell me. Fair, not fair? What do you think? Leave me a comment below. Like, scribe, and subscribe. I need the sub in there. Subscribe. You just scribe, nothing will happen. Subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Comic Perch, and thanks for listening.